welcome to Legal Matters, an informational and news call-in show devoted to legal topics of interest to you, the State Line viewer. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and with me is attorney Michael Crosby with the Crosby Law Firm. We have attorneys standing by now to take your call at the number on your screen, 815-397-2006. They'll provide you with free information on your issue. The call is confidential, so pick up the phone now and call the Crosby Law Firm throughout the next hour. Again, the number 815-397-2006. Now, our opening statement for this episode of Legal Matters is the path of the adoption of children. In the second segment, we'll be discussing our popular You Want to Know question and answer session, devoted to questions posed by you, the viewer, through telephone calls and social media. Again, the number is 815-397-2006. And lawyers are standing by right now to take your confidential call. But before we get started, please note that the Crosby Law Firm represents thousands of individuals just like you. Just as our local hospitals handle a multitude of health care issues, the Crosby Law Firm can help you with a multitude of legal care matters as well. So pick up the phone and call 815-397-2006. The Crosby Law Firm has a Center for Divorce and Family Law and Injury Department, which includes but not limited to auto and motorcycle accidents, slip and fall incidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability matters. There's also a Bankruptcy Institute, an Office for DUI, Traffic and Criminal Defense, an Advanced Care Plan and Probate Center, and a division for real estate, business matters, and much more. So again, feel free to call and discuss any of these practice areas with attorneys standing by. That number again, 815-397-2006. Attorneys are standing by right now to take your call. Again, it is free and it is confidential. And Michael Crosby, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thanks, Alan. Glad to be here.
And welcome to June.
Absolutely.
Already. It's June already. Last month, of course, Mother's Day, June, Father's Day is this June. So it kind of puts you in the mind of family. I mean, summertime, it seems to be a family time anyway, the vacations and things and all that line. I don't know, a lot of people are thinking about creating families, having a family. Adoption is part of that process, but it's a tough process, isn't it?
It can be a tough process. It can also be a wonderfully rewarding thing. In our office, there's a lot of negativity that comes through. A lot of people visit with us that are struggling with significant, serious issues. Every once in a while, we'll do an adoption. We do quite a few adoptions, as a matter of fact. And when we can unite a loving mom and dad who may not be able to have children on their own with a youngster who longs for love, tenderness, and care, when we can marry that together, it's a wonderful experience. We do a lot of that in our office, and anyone that is contemplating adoption, I'd encourage you to give us a call. In our office, the first consultation is free of charge, and that's part of the law firm initiative, if you will, our way of reaching out to the community. Most of our adoption work is done on a flat fee, and many times we're happy to provide our clients with a payment plan in connection with the adoption. So the consultation is free, flat charges for this kind of work, and payment plans can be made available through our accounting department. I can't think of a better area of law for us to pursue on behalf of family.
Mm-hmm. People come in, families, couples come in looking to start the process. What is the first step after they come to you?
It depends on the circumstances. If this is a case where the mom and dad, it's perhaps a child connected to two folks that are not married, out of wedlock, if you will, it's important that all the parents, the biological parents, are given notice, a summons. Their parental rights are being terminated. The biological parents no longer involved. The adoptive parents stepping up. Sometimes it can be a single parent doing the adoption. Sometimes it can be a same-sex couple. Sometimes it's a married couple. Perhaps there's a child born from a mom and dad that were married, and there's a divorce. And perhaps the mom has custody of the child, and the biological father is prepared to relinquish his parental rights. Mom remarries. The stepdad now steps up, if you will, and becomes the adoptive parent. So it's an interesting process. You've got to protect everybody's rights. Everybody's got to be given notice.
And a lot of people are involved in this. From what you just said, you're dealing with not only the couple, but past spouses, potential spouses, family members of other types. So it takes a little bit to walk through this.
Very complicated process. It's all about protecting that little human being, that child. The system, the government, we the people want to make sure that the children are protected. There may be agency adoptions, maybe non-agency adoptions. Always there's going to be a court involved. There's going to be some kind of investigation done on the proposed adoptive parents to make certain that they are loving and potentially loving and caring people as well.
Very, very interesting. Well, we're going to talk more about this when we come back in just a minute. Be sure and call the phone number. That, of course, is 815-397-2006. Stay tuned. We'll be right back in a moment. And welcome back to Legal Matters, everyone. I'm here with Michael Crosby. We've been talking adoption and the process of all that. Michael, once notice has been given to all the interested parties and all that kind of thing, you're talking to private adoption agencies, non-private, however it works. What's the next step that kind of brings it all together?
I think for our viewers to really kind of picture the process, think of a start and think of a finish. The start is the loving, caring, adoptive parents stepping up and saying, I'm interested in adopting this child. The start is notifying the biological parents that their rights are going to be terminated and the new parents are stepping up. The finish line, some months later, is a judge entering a judgment consenting to the adoption, formalizing the relationship between the new parents and the child. So think of that as a process. It's more complicated than that. It takes a number of months, but that's the process. I would really encourage any of our viewers out there to give us a call. This is a wonderful area of law, something that we take a lot of pride in. Again, we provide that free consultation and provide payment plans and flat charges as well.
Every case is different, but what's the average length of an adoption process?
Roughly 6 months.
6 months?
Right.
So that's what they're looking at from the beginning then?
Correct.
Okay.
Maybe a little less, a little more, but roughly 6 months.
6 months?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's great information, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to take that to heart and be contacting you for information about that. Well, let's get ready for our rapid-fire question and answer segment. It's called You Want to Know. In an effort to protect viewer confidentiality, understand we only use first names. We may alter the location and the nature of the question a little. I'd like to remind you that lawyers are standing by to take your call no matter the topic, so pick up the phone and call 815-397-2006. So, Michael, our first question comes from Vince in Pecatonica. He says, I was traveling eastbound on bypass 20 recently and was stopped for speeding. I don't think he had radar, but it's my third ticket in less than a year, and I'm concerned about losing my license. Any ideas?
Vince in Pecatonica should be concerned about losing his license. In Illinois, 3 moving violations within 1 year. If you're 21 or over, your license can be suspended, and that will really screw up a family unit, your job, how to get to work and back to work, so you don't want your driving privilege suspended. In a case like this, we would try to negotiate with the state's attorney's office court supervision so that the third ticket would not be perceived by the Secretary of State's office as a conviction, and hence Vince's license would not be suspended. As you said at the outset of the show, there's a significant part of our practice is criminal and traffic defense work. We have a specific department set up for it. Again, this is the kind of work that we do on a flat fee, and there's a free consultation. So I would encourage Vince to give us a call. Be happy to try to help him out.
Okay. Next question comes from Danielle. She's in McChesney Park. Several years ago, my husband and I lost our home in a foreclosure and incurred a lot of credit card and medical debt when he lost his job and benefits. We're thinking about bankruptcy but don't know where to turn. We've heard about Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. What's the difference? Where do they turn?
Good question by Danielle. I'm sorry for the financial issues. First, Danielle, understand we don't have debtor's prison in America. Lots of people have these issues, struggle with it. The number of bankruptcies in our community have declined the last several years compared to the beginning of the Great Recession in 2008 and 2009 and 2010. But we do a lot of bankruptcy work. We'd be happy to help Danielle. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy, we're ridding Danielle and her family of all of their debt and giving them a total new economic lease on life. A Chapter 13 is typically a reorganization of your debt, where there may be some unsecured debt, a percentage that you pay back. We'll look at a Chapter 13 bankruptcy if, for example, a person has a home and there's substantial equity in their home. In a Chapter 7, if you did a bankruptcy, they may lose their home. Chapter 13, they could save their home. Most Chapter 13 plans are for 3 to 5 years in length. So be happy to take a look at Danielle's case. Any of the other viewers out there that have the same issue, please give us a call. Again, it's a free consultation. We do the bankruptcy work with a flat fee as well. So you know where you stand, you know how to budget for it.
Okay. And the next question from Mitchell in Rockford. My brother is in prison. He has a child, but the mother won't let any of the family see the child. What can we do to see the child? How should we proceed? This sounds pretty tough.
Very tough. This is really more of what I would call a grandparent rights case. If an individual's in jail, say it's the husband or the father, the paternal grandparents have an absolute right to petition the court seeking visitation regarding the child. It's a complicated area. I would encourage this family to give us a call. The one that has the rights here are grandma and grandpa of the individual in prison, the parents of the individual in prison. They have the rights. Grandparent rights, step up. We do a lot of this work in our office.
Okay, great information, great questions, and good answers. Michael Crosby, thank you as always.
Appreciate
your
it.
time.
Thank you.
And a reminder to the audience at home, don't forget lawyers are standing by for another half hour after the show. That number to call is 815-397-2006. It's all the time we have with the Crosby Law Firm, but Legal Matters continues with Mark Brennison from the American Law Firm after a break. And welcome back to Legal Matters, everyone. I'm your host, Alan Jones. With me now is Mark Brennison, the managing attorney for the American Law Firm. This is a half-hour informational news call-in show devoted to a variety of legal topics. Attorneys are standing by now to take your call at the number on your screen. They'll be able to provide you with free information regarding your legal issue. So call now and do so throughout the next hour. And our opening statement for this episode of Legal Matters will be talking about personal injury and also what you should do in case of an accident. So we'll take a look at those issues and all that and more right now as we talk to Mark Brennison from the American Law Firm. Mark, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Alan.
And as we've said in the past, you've written a number of books and a number of informational pamphlets. This one is called Everything You Need to Know to Protect Your Rights and Receive a Fair Settlement. We're talking about, I guess, no matter what the legal issue when it comes to a civil suit, all the information is right here. But I think primarily for this time, we're going to talk about accidents.
That's correct.
Car accidents, motorcycle accidents, vehicle accidents of many kinds. And I think probably the first thing you want to talk about, and regardless of the type of vehicle you're driving, is what you do when it happens.
Yes.
The first thing you want to do is stop. And that may seem simple to some people. They may not think, well, sure, you want to stop, but some people don't. Why is it so important?
Well, many times when people are in an accident, there's an adrenaline rush. Something happens. They may stop quickly, say to the other driver, I'm fine, and then they leave the scene of the accident. And then the next day they wake up and they're really sore. And a few weeks later they have an MRI and find out they have a herniated disc. And because they didn't exchange information at the accident scene, they don't know who to go after. And that happens. So you really need to stop for that reason. Plus you need to stop and make sure everybody's all right. My son was in an accident when he was in 8th grade, my number 4 son. And my wife and my number 2 son were just fine. Number 4 son was sitting in the back and lacerated his spleen, was in the hospital for quite a bit, voided surgery, but it was not a big hit, but it was a moderate hit, and the seatbelt went across his stomach in a way that it hit the spleen and it lacerated the spleen. So it's good to stop and check because little impacts can lead to big injuries.
And it's that and attitude, I think a lot of people, I mean, you stop. Like you said, you talk about the adrenaline, people get upset in a hurry. So one thing, you want to stay calm. You have to kind of slow down a little bit and take note of everything that's going on, I think, at the time.
Well, it's inventorying. You've heard things like people that a car falls on them and they lift it up with the adrenaline. It's doing superhuman things that have been documented.
Sure. Yeah.
How many times people have cut themselves and they don't know they've cut themselves and they're walking around gushing, you know, and all of a sudden they see the blood and then they see the cut. Similar things can happen. So it's important to stop, see what's going on, make sure everybody's all right, nobody's hurting, get the information from the other driver, and then go on. It seems like it's a trivial matter, but it's really not.
Yeah.
I can take you to several accident scenes where somebody was really hurt. There was an internal injury, a brain bleed, even though the impact wasn't very great. They didn't look at it, and they died. For instance, several years ago, if you watched the movie The Parent Trap, the new one,
Yeah.
the mom in that, the person that played the mom was skiing up in Canada and fell.
That's true.
And got up and started skiing again. And just a matter of hours later was dead because they had a bleed in the brain that was progressive. You didn't know it at first, but by the time they find it, it's too late. I see a lot of that happening in car accidents. People think they're fine, they go. You really need to take inventory of what's going on.
Okay, and following along with that, contact the police,
Oh, absolutely.
regardless of the size of the accident.
You bet, because one of the things, if the police come and they issue a ticket and the person pleads guilty, that can be used against them in the civil proceeding to prove that they were wrong. Well, not prove, but to show that they were wrong. And a lot of times if that happens, the insurance defense attorney for the insurance company, notice I said insurance company, not the other driver, because that's who pays them, will admit liability. And so you're only going on to court on damages, and that's a much easier trial.
Okay. Speak with other drivers involved and passengers. That goes along with the first thing. Get inventory, talk to people who witnessed it, find witnesses. That's got to be important too.
Well, we have some cases in-house right now where the client came to us maybe 6 months after the accident occurred, and they didn't think much of it, and it was definitely the defendant was at fault, but nobody else was there to see it. Well, there were, but they didn't get the names of those witnesses. And then all of a sudden the insurance company says, well, our client, our insured says that it's your fault, that you ran the red light, or you ran the stop sign, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they didn't get the name of the other witnesses who have stopped to see if they could help. Fortunately, in those cases, the police who came to the accident scene and wrote down the names and telephone numbers of the witnesses. We go talk to the witnesses, and this is classic. One of the cases where they were on a road and there was no stop sign. Okay, one way, there was the other way. And the guy was claiming that there was a yield sign, or there were no stop signs or something like that. And we got a witness who was able to come, it was a light case. And the witness was able to come in and they saw the light clearly was red in the defendant's direction and green in my client's. That cinched it, but if we couldn't have found him, it would have been he said, she said, 50-50.
And that's difficult to show and difficult to prove.
Is. Yes,
absolutely. Write down the make, model, type of the vehicle. Why is that important?
Well, a lot of times vehicles, depending on how they're made, can have an impact on the impact. Okay. Let's say, for instance, you're in one of those, well, we talked about earlier, where you didn't think you were hurt. And everybody just goes away and you don't get the information, but you can remember the vehicle, maybe the license plate number. You can trace back to that person and that person's insurance if you have that information. What I'd prefer to see somebody do, even if they don't get the name, is immediately write down the license plate number and the make and model of the car, which you can see just by looking at it. The license plate number will always lead you back to who owns that car. They may have given it to somebody to drive, or it may have been the owner driving, but you can get back to the person that way. Very crucial.
Very important.
Yes.
Okay. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more from Mark Brinison in a moment. Don't forget, lawyers are standing by for another half hour after the show airs. Number to call is 815-394-1776, and we'll be back with more after a moment. And welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Alan Jones. With me is attorney Mark Bredesen with the American Law Firm. And you're watching Legal Matters, an informational and news call-in show devoted to a variety of legal topics. Attorneys are standing by now to take your call at the number on your screen, 815-394-1776. We'll provide you with free information on your issue. The call is confidential, so pick up the phone now and call the American Law Firm throughout the next hour. Again, the number is 815-394-1776. Now, in our previous segment, we were talking to Mark. He's written a book, Everything You Need to Know to Protect Your Rights and Receive a Fair Settlement. We're talking about vehicle accidents and things along that line. This time we're talking about personal injury. Of course, that leads into that as well. Personal injury, it's wide-ranging. Not only in the cause, but what you can receive from it. But is there a minimum settlement amount? No,
what you can receive in a personal injury case is directly related to what are your damages. Now, what are the categories of damages? Probably the more specific question. Number one, if you have medical bills, that's a damage. Pain and suffering, that's a damage. Lost wages, that's a damage. I've had several people come in, especially the breadwinner. Let's say it's only a one-family breadwinner. If the breadwinner gets hurt and they can't work, and the other parent does not work, and nowadays it can be Mr. Mom or it can be Mom. If that's the case and they lose income, that's a world of hurt. People lose houses. Kids can't do what they normally would. Parents see kids can't doing what they normally would, and that really affects them. So yeah, there's no minimum or maximum amount. It's what the total package of damages that I've just described, when you put it together, what's the value of that claim? And they're all different. Some people have $1,500 medical bills and no lost wages, and other people have $100,000 in medical bills and $50,000 worth of lost wages. So there's really a span.
Yeah, and that's why I guess it's a good idea for a consultation. To come in and just take a look at it, and what do you think? You know, one of those kind of things. I would think an individual really has no idea what the value of a suit might be.
Most don't, and you know, we give a free consultation. Come in and talk to us. If the claim is not one that may be right for an attorney to take, we'll certainly walk through the steps, how to put a settlement package together. We'll try to help you value the claim, because there are cases that attorneys shouldn't be taking, because the attorney will take all the money and you don't get anything. So we try to identify those, but those people need the same level of service and knowledge in the claims process as somebody that hires the attorney. And we're more than willing to do that. So come on and see us. We're more than willing to help out.
And just take a look and see what the situation might be. You talked about damages and things like that. Medical bills obviously fall into that category as well. Talk about that a little bit.
Well,
because that's a wide-ranging thing. You're talking about medical bills.
Nowadays, dealing with medical bills and insurance payments is really a pain in the you-know-where. Because most of the insurance companies, if state law allows it, and most state laws do, and federal law, if your employer's health insurance plan is created under what they call a RISA, that's a federal statute, they have the absolute right to be reimbursed back what they paid for the treatment for your injuries. So you got to take out of your settlement and give back to the insurance company. It's what I call the Ponzi scheme, but fact of life. And that's very important, because what hospitals and doctors are doing today, and this just shows the greed of the medical community, when somebody's in a personal injury accident, an auto accident, slip and fall, they go to the hospital, the doctor will intentionally not bill the insurance company. They'll wait and bill the at-fault carrier and charge them more money, up to twice as much as what they would have to, what the reimbursement rate would be if they were, say, being paid by Blue Cross Blue Shield, because Blue Cross Blue Shield or a big insurance company is going to go out and negotiate a lower rate of pay. Okay, so you may take 50 cents on the dollar as total payment, but now they wait and they jack the price up just because it's an automobile insurance or automobile personal injury, or it's a personal injury claim, and that's not right. They're raping the settlement proceeds from the client. And that probably tells you what I think they are.
Yeah, you don't hold back very much.
No.
But is that, I mean, you say that's what they do. That can't be general practice.
It's legal.
Across the medical field.
It's legal. And I can tell you right now, more and more people, more and more healthcare providers are doing that. I'll give you a perfect example of how it can really adversely affect. I had one client that settled the case, and part of the treatment that they received was not for injuries that were received in the accident. But the hospital treated it like it was, went past 2 years. 2 years is usually the date that they can submit it to the the health insurance company. Went past 2 years, found out that, oh, we can't get paid because it's not part of the settlement for the personal injury, but they still go after the client, and they created the problem. They created that debt that the client owed, that if they would have submitted it to the health insurance company, there would be no debt. And I've seen clients go bankrupt over that.
Over an issue
Yeah,
like that.
and that's why you see me animated about that. That's not right. That's greed.
Okay. If, well, we'll deal with that. What about a lawyer asking the lawyer for, I would think you would get a statement of your settlement, which outlines what you get and who gets what. Is that not common practice?
It should be, but a lot of lawyers won't. Let me tell you what we do. When we resolve the case, we sit down with the client, go over the X and O's of dollars wise. Here's what the settlement amount is. Here's what the attorney's fees are. Here's what the costs are. Here's what the medical liens are that we have to pay back that I just talked about. And here's what, Mr. Client, you'll get in your pocket. They sign that statement. Then when we get the check in, we do try to negotiate some of that to get more money in their pocket. But when we get the check, we will make a copy of the check. We will make a copy of the trust statement that shows the money coming in and going out and reconciles back to the settlement statement that they signed before the insurance company sent us a check. So every penny, they know where it went and what it was for and who got what. If somebody is settled and the lawyer has not done it to that extent, you should be unhappy.
Okay. Excellent information. Great advice. Mark Brimison, thank you very much.
Thank you.
His book, Everything You Need to Know to Protect Your Rights, Receive a Fair Settlement, available at the American Law Firm in Rockford. Thank you very much. And we'll be right back in just a moment.
Legal Matters has been brought to you by the Crosby Law Firm and American Law Firm.
Let me close by encouraging you to pick up the phone and call the attorneys standing by. And because of the high volume of calls, attorneys from the American Law Firm and the Crosby Law Firm will be taking calls for another half hour after the show ends. So if you get a busy signal or you go to voicemail, keep trying. Or just leave a message, and either law firm will return your call the following business day. And for those viewers who may not need the assistance of an attorney just yet, you can visit the Crosby Law Firm or the American Law Firm websites with any suggestions you may have regarding subjects of interest to you, and to view all the past episodes of Legal Matters. You can also find them both on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching Legal Matters. We hope you found it informative.